Boom, there we go. That way, whatever she misses, I could just get that to her. Okay, so guys, this is a live Q&A we do on Tuesday evenings. City on the Hill Institution, it is a school, it's an online school, and we do have students. Sometimes the students are on this call, which does help out because we do this for people outside of the school. That way you guys can ask questions and learn about what we offer, the courses and everything. And sometimes the students are on, sometimes they're not. Sometimes we got a lot of people on, sometimes we got a few. And so, but I'm glad you guys all hopped on. I wanted to introduce y'all to Lady B. She is the founder, the visionary, and the dean of this school. Lady Beju, called Lady B for short. And so, yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to find out where you guys was hearing about us from, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, Lady B, if you want to go ahead and say whatever you want to say, and then you guys could just start in with questions. So go ahead.
Good evening, you guys. Like Tracy said, I'm Lady Beju. You could call me Lady B for short. I am Dave's partner. Dave and I started a City on the Hill about 8 years ago because there were so many different people to listen to back in the day, and trying to get information was a thorn. It was kind of hard, and it would drive people nuts. So I got a word from God for me to start up a school. And I went to Dave, and Dave was like, let's do this. And basically, we've been instructing people through reaching their sovereignty for, like I said, 8 years now. I have an online system that allows you guys to take some structured courses on different things that everybody that's in this game need to know. And I've also got a bunch of study sites for you guys to utilize. We have other faculty members for you guys to meet with. Some of them instruct their own classes. Some of them have their own study sites as well. And what we do is we offer an annual account with us that allows you to go through your different records and profiles and get them established in the system, so we can start knocking down your individual issues one by one as you're gaining the knowledge and going through the school. So I guess for right now, I'll leave it at that, and we can get into some questions. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay,
Thanks.
great, Mike.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I wasn't quite paying attention to your introduction. I'm in a hotel room with three children, so I wasn't completely focused on
Oh,
your
that sounds so
introduction.
fun. How old are you?
I've got 2 toddlers and a 9-month-old today.
Great fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I got my headphones on and I'm trying to, listen in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm currently we're homeless, and so I'm looking to see if the group knows anything about acquiring a home with a 1099-A and or some type of instrument. I'm familiar with bills of exchange, and I've used a promissory note to actually get a car that was repossessed, and then subsequently it was stolen from me, and I didn't have the means to get the car back. Didn't have the knowledge at the time to get the car back. But I've heard a lot of things about 1099-As for acquisition of property, and we're a little short on fiat currency at the moment. So I'd love to see if there's a private remedy, if you will, to acquire something for my family.
There are different processes that can be done with 1099-A to acquire different property.
Yeah.
The main issue with getting, and the process normally takes about 21 days. We had our banker who works with us here in the school basically perfect the 1099 method for the school. But there's a lot of moving parts to doing one properly that a lot of people on the internet are not sharing. 1099s brought from the wrong direction can get you in a lot of trouble. And it doesn't even get you in trouble right away because the IRS is kind of patient. They'll let you go ahead and raise the equity or make more money with the credits that you established. And then they come back years later and they smash you because you really didn't have the authority to use the instruments the way that you did.
I've heard of a couple of stories like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really, you gotta be careful because it's really having a relationship structured with the IRS that keeps you safe from, you know, from the headaches. Now, I've kind of been in your situation before. I have two sons myself, and we've had some housing issues that were like really stressful, really like right on my neck. And it was just, I was kind of in a time where it was like, well, I want to use this to, you know, go ahead and pay the hotel. And I want to do this to, you know, I was trying all these different things. And it hit me that I was not looking for the correct remedy for myself at that time because I was stressed out. I just wanted something quick, immediate. Please get me out of this hotel before we get stuck in here paying these thousands of dollars a month. And basically, I closed my eyes, I said some prayers, and the next thing I knew, there was remedy available for me. So this is not just a knowledge battle, it's a spiritual one as well. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that. As far as housing, our banker does have different techniques that can be used, you know, to gain what you need. For instance,
excellent.
We had a student who came in and in good conscience, her housing situation was so jacked up that I was like, I cannot place you in a course because your focus is going to be all over the place until your housing situation is squared away. And so we got them together with the banker. He gave them some techniques that they could use, some materials, you know, for them to read up on and study on. And in about maybe 3 weeks, they were able to acquire a home.
Nice.
So not saying that it's guaranteed because of, you know, everybody's situation is different, but we have had other students in, you know, the rocky situations, you know, some of them were like, well, I have enough credit to where I can go grab an RV, right? Low price, $300 or less a month. And then, you know, we consulted them on how to like find a good trailer park so they're not, you know, in a park that's full of drug addicts or whatever, and kind of directed them into a good, you know, good spot. So, you know, sometimes it works a little different, but there's many possibilities out there just depending on your situation.
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, do you have any other questions you want to ask, or we can dig in a little deeper on that if you'd like, or
I mean, I don't know how you have it structured here. This is my second appearance. I was on a couple of weeks ago for a short time. But yeah, I'd love to get some further information if I can on what you discussed. If I can, I don't know, send my email to somebody and get in touch with somebody after offline.
Yes, absolutely. Miss Tracy is my administrative assistant.
Oh, cool.
So she will definitely be able to get you more information.
Okay.
And we're actively doing, starting an open enrollment now for 30 seats. This is going to be our fall enrollment. But we do have other things that we, depending on situation. So make sure that you Mr. have his email.
No, he cut
If
out
she
there.
doesn't leave, yeah, if she doesn't have your email, please leave it in the chat for her.
Yeah, sure.
So she can reach out to get you some more information.
Great, will do.
Yeah, and
And
we
then-
do a lot of things in here. Like we help people set up their USDOT if that's something that they want to do, or they're trying to understand right to travel. We help them establish their record for that. There's some people that's like, well, my car's free and clear. I want to get it out of the system, and we can help them with like that. We also do have some status pages that will help you understand and go through the different types, the different levels of status change as you need. But I think the most important part about the school is the fact that you not only have other students that you can talk to, but you have the instructors as well, because like life happens every day and stuff changes every day. And so, we aren't like a lot of gurus that are out there on the internet that just popped up in 2020. We're actually established, and we've had several hundred students come through the school, over these 8 years. So without a relationship with the instructors and the faculty members that you establish, where we can, set you up to say, okay, let's run through your credit profile. Give us the rundown on your credit stuff, upload your credit reports, and then we get you with the credit coach. Right? It's kind of, that's the way we start. Like we show you how to use the system first, so you're not getting lost. And then we have you start building your first couple profiles, so we can share them with the faculty, so they can kind of see, oh, well, he's got some bankruptcies, or, she's got a lot of credit card debt or student loan stuff or whatever. And then when you consult with that first instructor, he's going to help you get a grasp and understanding on your credit, right? Because getting your credit to a certain level will help to float you on the rest of your journey. Right? So get your credit cleared up. You can add lines of credit. You can dispute anything that needs to, remove judgments. He does all of those things. And then we have, a lot of other areas as well. So let me take some more questions, and, and I'll let you guys know what we have that can help you out with that.
Great. Thank you very much.
So we have a question in the chats from Stacy. She says, can you explain the way the 3,000 yearly tuition works, please?
Okay, so the annual will allow you to take, we have 3 main courses that are structured. We have American National Passport. We have Accepted for Value, which is our discharge course. And then we have Secured Party. Those are the 3 structured courses. Now, Secured Party is Dave's course. Okay, so if you heard Dave, Joe Lustica, then he goes through and he explains the UCC 1 to the people on the show. So that's like the foundational document that allows you to separate yourself from the trust. So now everybody else has noticed that these are 2 different things, right? This is the in rem, and this is the one in charge. And once you get that established with the contracts and whatnot, it will support your journey in sovereignty. Okay, because it becomes your record. You're continually depositing things there, negotiating things there, depositing things and then withdrawing them and putting them into court cases, or putting them up against, what's going on with your home or things like. Dave is really there. He's actually my mentor And he taught me, just having the paperwork is not enough. You can have the paperwork and it mean absolutely nothing because you don't have the knowledge to actually maneuver with the paperwork. So he handles all of that. I do accepted for value, like I said, which is our discharge class. And it shows you how to run a proper A4V. A lot of people do this coupon method or remittance method or, these different processes on the internet, but there's not very many people that are actually getting the remedy. You hear a lot of talk about it, but as far as people saying, oh yeah, this worked for me, but it's few and far between. And I believe that it's like that because it's been watered down so much. It's like people are sending their instruments to the wrong place and they're not making the proper notifications. They're not using the proper methods that law requires to have on an instrument, and they don't have any fiduciaries established and all these different things that they're missing. And then they're like, well, why didn't it work for me? And I'm like, okay, well, send me your stuff and let me check it out. And I'm like, you missed 2/3 of the entire process. Like, basically, this instrument looks like it probably just got stolen, from the corporation. So sometimes there's people that come in and they tried, certified funds, or they tried 1099A, or, they tried a remittance process and it didn't work. And so I'll go through it with them and kind of explain to them, okay, look, everybody has heard of a unicorn, but nobody's really seen one, right? So I go to my stable and I pull my unicorn out and I show you a proper A4V. And once you see a proper A4V, you're like, well, why would they put this stuff on the internet as if, this is going to work, this is going to work. And it's an extremely watered down process from the one that I do. Okay, so there is the ability to get rid of, depending on how bold you are and how big you want to take the fight. We've had people discharge mortgages. We've had people discharge cars. We've had people attempt to discharge credit cards, and some have worked and some have not worked. And some needed a little force to get them, from not working to working again. So it is, an individualized struggle that you guys will go through as you're determining what it is that you want to do. But you do have the faculty here to back you up and get you the resources that you need to gain the proper understanding. Because there's a lot of even the people that are offering secure party, it's so watered down to the point where it's not going to work. Right? So we just kind of make sure that you guys can see what's working, what's been working for years, and you can model your movements after the things that we know are working. Okay, so who's next? I think Stacy got her sound working right. Stacy, you have any questions?
Well, she told me she didn't have her microphone working, and so she's putting her questions in the chat. And she said that they are interested in secure party and A4V. She now says, how many hours does the secure party process take?
I'm gonna say that's really up to the student. A lot of people have the misconception that they're gonna come in here and they're just gonna run straight through stuff and have it done in 30 days or 3 months or whatever, they're thinking that it's gonna be. But once you get in here, and you can, ask some of the other students that been in for 6 months or been in for a year, you can kind of ask them, how it was when they started, and how are they maneuvering through it now. A lot of people thought they were just going to run through this information, but it is literally up to you to slow down and to gain as much knowledge as you're going through the courses as possible, because that's truly what makes you strong, right? Like, for instance, for me, I had my secure party paperwork and it was all signed up, and I thought I did everything right, and come to find out I ran into my first battle and lost pretty bad because I had the paperwork, and I was like, well, if I have the paperwork, then I'm untouchable, right? And it couldn't have been further from the truth. And so when I got in touch with Dave, when we got in, when we met each other, we were on a radio show, and he began to mentor me. And it was at a point in my life when everything was crazy because the government was coming after me to show me they don't like people doing the stuff that I was doing. So they were trying to make me stop. And so they stole my house and they stole my kids. And, I don't know if they realized what they were doing when they did that, but they literally created a weapon when they took my kids. So I got with Dave, and he says, so are you a secure party? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, then why they have your kids? And it was like somebody kicked me in my jaw. I was, ooh, you know what I mean? I don't know why they have my kids. He was like, because you aren't a secure party. He said, you have the paperwork. He said, but you have none of the knowledge behind it. He said, did you read them? Did you read the contracts? And I'm like, and he's like, yeah, exactly. That's why they have your kids. And he put me through my paces. There were nights when I could cry through a whole box of tissue on the phone with Dave McDowell. But it was because he had to break me down to put me back together properly. Because I had put myself in a position where I thought I was good, and I was all out in the open. All my soft spots were accessible, so to speak. And so he helped me gain the understanding, learn the contracts, learn the verbiage, and he taught me to be fearless. And when I went back into the arena, I started shutting stuff down, like literally. So, it's a big difference when you have a mentor, when you have like-minded people that are either on the same journey as you, or they've already made it to the other side, but you have these people that you can converse with. It really makes a big difference, because now you're just not like trying to share with family and friends and looking at you with one eyebrow up saying, you sound like a nutcase, right? But you actually have people here that are doing these things, actively doing these things. So that in itself, you might find a couple of students you want to follow their story, right? They might be doing kind of the same things you're trying to achieve, and you want to watch and see what steps they're taking and the outcomes, good or bad, that they're having, so you can begin to kind of see how this game actually works. Okay, do we have any other questions?
Michael says he's looking for knowledge and a better understanding on secured party. That's Michael Thornhill. That's what he said, which you'll definitely find that in our school, Michael. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely in here. Let me see if I can just give you guys a sneak peek. Okay. All right, let me try to get my screen share up for you guys. Okay, and let me know when you can see my screen.
Well, yep, we can see it.
Okay, so when you get to, depending on whether you're enrolled in Canvas or Teams, will depend on the view that you have of the course. So this is the structure as far as Canvas is concerned. So I'm gonna let you guys get a sneak peek here at secured party. Now, the way that I have secured party structured to where you guys, you need to do about a module a week. There's some people that want to do 2 modules a week or more modules a week, trying to speed through the content. But I found that to be, it's not a benefit for most people, because they end up missing too much information, trying to speed it up. These processes like getting free, I've been doing this since '08. Okay. I am in the private. I have an entity to utilize in the public. So I know how to maneuver back and forth. But I have like 3 entities that I utilize in commerce now, right? So it's about making sure that you have the information, not the speed at which you get it. Because the more information that you have available to you in your knowledge base, the easier your stuff will be. Like, my journey was pretty rough because I was green. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anybody else that was doing stuff like this, maybe like 1 or 2, but it was just mainly me until I was, able to get in touch with Dave. But I was doing some things by myself. It wasn't until I had that like-minded individual to talk to truly block. Okay, so I want to give you guys that same ability. Okay, so when you're in this course, you can get up to 1 consultation about the course a week if you need it, with either Dave or myself. And the way that you would do that is from this first page. You would just book a student services appointment. These appointments are free as long as you're enrolled in the course. But like I said, they are limited to 1 a week, because sometimes we get so many students in here, it's like we can't meet everybody's needs. So at that point, if it's in a situation like that, you may meet with a group and the instructor, just so we can get through everybody's questions. Okay, but you do have the opportunity to get one-on-one consultations. And Secure Party is meeting once a week right now.
Hey,
They
Lady
meet
B,
on
you're
Thursday
breaking up.
evening.
Lady B, you're breaking up a bit as you're
Oh,
speaking.
am I?
Yes.
Oh,
And while you're
it
talking
did
about
flash.
secured parties, Stacy has asked, she says, to go along with what Michael asked, is there a 3-part video series in the secured party course to get us started?
A 3-part video? I don't understand.
Well, I don't know why she's specific. I don't know why it's 3-part, but maybe she's seen something like that somewhere, a 3-part video series. But she did ask me before, was there any pre-recorded videos in the courses? So she's basically asking, like, how is the secure party course formatted to get started? And with you being in secure party right now, I'm assuming she will be going over that, Stacy. So yeah, so she'll probably be able to answer those questions for you while she's talking about secure party.
Yeah, so the way that the course is structured, there's documents, there's web links, there's videos, there's research guides, and you need to go through and gain all this information. Now, as you're going through the course, it is your responsibility not to use the content as be all of that information, but you're to take the content that we supply you with and go out there in the internet and research your missing from that information. Each module is designed to, like I said, give you a springboard, but like I said, you have to be willing and able to go out into the internet and draw in the things that you are not understanding or that you feel you are missing out of the content. At the end of each module, You are responsible for an essay to show us what you have learned in that module, and your essays need to stay focused on the information that's requested from you for that specific section. We have you do essays because as a secured party, you have to know how to communicate. And sometimes communicating is, most times your communication is going to be in writing. So we need you to begin to train yourself again on how to verbally get your thoughts to paper, okay, in an intelligible way that someone can see, because you're going to be on your journey, you're going to be writing a lot of claims, you're going to be writing a lot of affidavits, you're going to be doing these different types of writings. It might be an essay, it might be, I don't know, you might want to do an ebook while you're here, some things like that. So you have to know the different ways that writings are structured, but you also have the ability to do a screen share or audio essay to supplement if your writing is not really strong. Then you can do, you know, a screen share video. Oh, Lady B, let me show you what I learned this week. And you can go through and record your screen and show me what you need. So I understand that you actually understand how to do these things. You understand how to communicate what you've learned. Okay. So you have that option as well. There's a lot of PDFs and videos embedded, like this one, The Great American Adventure. This is such a good little history book about the United States of America and the bankruptcy and the indigenous and all kinds of things are in this book right here. And I only give you a couple pages out of this book to read, but it is always beneficial to go ahead and download it and keep it in your OneDrive, which is your storage area in the school. So you can, you know, go back and read on it and study on it. You know, most of the things that you get in here, you want to go over more than once. You know, you want to go through and take time to study and highlight and go, you know, do your research about those topics. Because that's really what's going to make you strong in this. It's not just the paperwork. It's more so the knowledge behind the paperwork. But you would just, you know, go through the content on the page and click forward as you need to move forward, and it'll take you into each section. So this is an example of like a research, right? Because there's so many different types of citizens, right? We need you guys to like understand and get that information first. What is an American citizen? What is a US citizen? What is a non-resident alien? What is a state citizen? What is a national? These are all different words that are getting thrown all around the internet, and they're getting convoluted. They're getting mixed together. People think one thing is the same as another. And we need you guys to actually buckle down and go through each type of citizenship so you can understand which one is you, which one is your trust, which one are you never going to need, which one do you have and don't want to use, and all of these things. Because as you go through secure party, what you're going to realize is it's the notification of the separation of these entities that gives you your power. Okay, and then we'll show you how to build on that from there. So we go through all the different types of citizenships. Here's some videos. They are all coming from different perspectives. This one is from a Moorish American, but there's also some other videos in here that are coming from different perspectives. One of them is like a guy that does like the little promissory note, but he has a really good video on citizenship. So it's in this section for you guys to glean from. And as you get to the end of each of the modules, sometimes there'll be quizzes, not always, but sometimes there are quizzes. And sometimes there are also embedded forms. This is the guy I was talking about. This is a pretty good video on state citizen and US citizen. And then let me go ahead and click through till we get to an assignment. I don't know why they age restricted that video. It's a really good video. Okay. Let's go through. So now this is an example of a quiz within the module. And there'll be a button at the top that says, start this quiz or whatever, and it'll take you in for you to answer your questions. Okay, this one is 12 points. You get 3 attempts, and we keep the highest score. Sometimes there may be some things that need to be uploaded within a quiz, but it will notify you, what is entailed. And your main thing is you want to make sure, if it's like an essay, you want to make sure that you're answering all the questions that are in the description for that section. Now, the way that the course is designed, you cannot just click on and go straight through. You've got to turn in your assignments, or you cannot move courses. So if you're ever finding a problem as, oh, well, Lady B, I can't get to the next stage, go back and check and make sure that you have taken in all of the content in that module, because the system will track you to make sure, you're hitting all of your benchmarks. And when you don't, oh, I see there's a video I need to change out there. And then if you don't, it's not going to let you move forward. Okay, if you come upon any issues like that, just let Miss Tracy know, and she'll put it on my list to swap out videos. This is an example of like a discussion. Okay, so just your thoughts on the American and the citizen, right? And so you can see here there's a bunch of different students giving their perspectives, doing their write-ups, and having discussion about this topic. Okay, so sometimes those will come up here. Let me see if I can get this to move for me. Ooh, okay, that works. All right, and so this is the end of the module, is always the essay. So the essay is always the last thing. So you're going to make sure if there's any requirements in the description, you want to make sure that you answer all of those in your essay. And don't like go after like doing these essays. They're 500 words or more per topic, but don't give the minimum. You know what I mean? If you give the minimum, you're going to get the minimum out of your process, right? You want to go into this like this is life-changing information, because it really is. It's really life-changing. My life is completely different from where it was, when I got started in this stuff. Okay. So that is basically the structure of the modules. Each one are basically designed the same. And like I said, as you finish your essay, it'll pop back for me to grade it, and then it'll move you into the next section. Okay, so are there any questions on that?
Stacy had put in the chat, she says, Dave said in the Rumble video to check out his UCC-1, but I tried to find it and I could not figure out how.
I wish your mic was working. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Well, she
saying
saw
that
that
you
old,
tried to.
she saw that old
Mhm.
video. So she's referencing stuff from back then, from that Rumble video. But I can tell you, Stacy, that when you join the school, Dave is the actual faculty coach for the secure party class. So you'll be speaking to him directly. So whatever thing you're trying to find that you couldn't find, you'll have the real deal. You'll have access to him. So that's what I can tell
Yeah.
you about that.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Dave don't punches, boy. I tell you what, he will hurt your feelings if he has to. If it's going to prove the point that you need to move and maneuver in a specific way, or you need to change something that you've learned before. There's a lot of people that have to come in here and unlearn information, believe it or not, because they've been out there poking around in the internet, and And the internet is not, the information that's out there is so convoluted right now. It's so mushed together. There's so many people that are scamming and just throwing together information that doesn't really go together and throwing it out to people for sale. And it's just really messing up, what needs to happen, right? How the way it needs to go. So we make sure to curate everything that we utilize in the school so it has the information that one is going to need, instead of just kind of throwing documents at you with no instruction and telling you, okay, figure it out, right? Which is the horror story we hear quite often. So let me go ahead and show you the modules for secured party. So you have American versus US citizen. You have the certificate of live birth and the birth certificate. You have the authentication process. So Dave asks that you guys focus on these first three when you do get into the course, and do these three modules some justice, right? Like actually dig in and bring back, what is needed. Because by week 4, you're going to be doing your UCC 1. Okay, by the 4th module. So we've got the video on how to set up your account. We have this, it's probably a couple hours video with, from Dave and his class. We have some information for people that are international that are trying to do this, and so on. So like I said, the first 3 weeks, you really want to dig in, make sure your essays are good, because I do bounce stuff back. Like if you're giving me the minimum or you're not answering the questions that need to be answered in your essays, I will send them back. I'm not a pusher when it comes to being a teacher. So keep that in mind. This is a real school, and there are benchmarks that you're going to have to hit, because it's going to throw everything off if you don't, right? So keep that in mind. This is some serious, like it's going to take an effort from you, because we can't just push this information into your head. You've got to go around and gather what God has for you. And it's not always the same for everybody. There might be a structure like one of the courses that you're following, but God is still going to fill in your gaps with what he needs you to have, right? Because you might be the tiny house guy, or you might be the chicken farm lady. You know what I mean? And you might want to get some cattle and some land. People are different with what they're trying to accomplish with these things. So make sure you dig in deep and keep God close to you when you're doing your research. When you get stuck, cry out to him, ask him for what you need. He'll place it right there in your face. Okay. And then if he's busy, you can get in touch with one of us, and we have plenty of resources that'll help you get through the things that you need to. Okay. So just because we were talking about UCC 1, and Stacy was wondering, if there's videos and pre-recorded stuff, I'll show you this right here. So this video literally takes you inside of the interface of the Secretary of State filing off utilize for our students. We utilize Texas, and we do that because it's a regional area, but we also know that we know how to get around all the little tricks that they put into the system that won't let your filing come out correctly. We know how to direct you to make corrections to the filing easily. And each one of the filings in Texas is $5. You can do it online, and you usually get your acknowledgement and original back within 24 hours via email. So it's really convenient to use Texas. So like I said, this is going to show you how to establish your account so that you can get in and get your first filing done pretty easily. Now, this next video is most likely going to be one of the lectures that Dave did maybe within the past year or so. Okay, so we've got a video here that you'd be able to play. It's about 15 minutes. Now, some of the videos in this course are going to be really long. Like there's some of them in A4V that are up to like 3 or 4 hours, right, per lecture, because there's so much information coming out on the call. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Some of the videos can get pretty long. You may have to like watch an hour and take some notes and then take a break. You know what I mean? Then come back so you don't get oversaturated. Okay. And then here again, this is the Texas Business and Commerce Code. This is what, 1,000 pages. But this you can download as a reference. And I would suggest that as you're going through each section, see where the UCC applies to that area and bring that content back in your essays. Okay. All right. And I'll just kind of, as we're talking, I'll just kind of click through this stuff so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. Is there who has the next question?
Okay, I don't see another question. I do see a statement where Mike said all things are possible to those who believe. Yes, indeed, that is correct.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yeah, people don't realize how important it is to literally hold God's hand in this. I couldn't have done all the things that I've done without leaning on God. Like literally. I mean, I've retired judges, I've shut down cities, I have hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits and damages, you know, towards me and my family, shut CPS down. I mean, I was down here just stomping around on everybody. I was like, oh, you want to come up again? Okay, watch, and we'll smash you. So I have agencies in the state that are like definitely afraid to even like be in the same room if they hear my voice, literally. But it's been a bumpy journey for me. So, you know, I always hold God's hand if I get stuck. I commune with him. You know, I pray for the things I need. I ask him to bring me the things I need. And he never fails me. He never fails me. If I need courage, you know, because I got butterflies all in my stomach and I'm afraid of these people, I ask him to take that fear from me and to make me strong. And then here comes a whole bunch of research he wants me to start reading. So it's an amazing, amazing journey, especially if you have a relationship with God already. Don't I suggest you like harness that? You know, there's a lot of times that this stuff will stress you out, and I've had students that were like at their wits' end and breaking down, and I'm like, okay, hold on, let me schedule you a time for you to melt down. You know what I mean? So we do that. Because we know with the stress level that it can get to a point where you feel like you're going to break. And so we give you a safe place to break so we can, you know, sweep up all your parts, you know what I mean? Dust you off, tape you back together, you know, and get you back on the road to where you need to be. There's going to be some times when we're not available and you still need to break. And so what we suggest is that you go out in nature, take your shoes off, go to the desert, go to the beach, go somewhere where you know God's beauty is all around you and soak that in, because that will allow him to be able to charge you up with the information he needs you to find or the information he needs you to have. So you don't feel weak anymore. You can go back and, you know, refreshed and continue on your journey, because this is 100% crock pot, right? This is not instant pot. This is not microwave. If you do this properly, it is going to take you several years to get to where you want to be. Okay, but by no means is it a quick journey or something that you could do without God.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Tracy.
Yes.
Hi, you and lady.
Yeah.
My questions were, I had a few questions, but it was based off of the video that accompanied the invite to this.
Okay.
It having to do with the listing of property and the fee.
Just one second, Danny. You said it had to do with the video you saw. What video are you talking about?
With the it accompanied the invite to this on Facebook, the message that I was sent
Oh, you're talking about
with
the
Dave.
Rumble video with Dave and Lady B, the one that I hosted. The
Yes,
one
that's
that I
it.
have on there. Okay, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, that's I got the impression that's what the Q&A was going to be about. So
Yeah, the Q&A is about whatever it's question and answers. It's whatever people that are outside of school, since you don't know about the courses and what's inside the school, this is for you guys to come on and ask Lady B, who is the dean, the founder, the visionary of the school. Dave is her partner and her mentor. And so you are welcome to come on and ask any questions that you want. So go right away. Go ahead.
okay, all right. On the UCC3, on listing the property, is that just done in the collateral box, I'm assuming, or is it a separate attachment that you
It is actually this is interesting. It is a separate attachment, the attachment A property list, okay, is a contract within the series of documents. And the main thing that people are always focusing on is the documents, and it gotta be right, and I'm gonna have to change my name here, and my address here. And it's a mess. Like I used to do UCCs for people, and it would take me days to do one person's stuff. Okay. Yeah. And plus it would have all these errors because I missed stuff, and it was like, oh, I should have highlighted that and blah, blah, blah. Well, all that stuff is beyond me now because I actually code every list, page, app, and automation in the system. I actually learned how to code as I've been building this school to make your job easier, right? So you don't have to focus on the documents themselves. Most things will be created for you or will be created to such a point where you can carry out the last few steps yourself, but it's going to kind of build. So when you do your UCC1, I will provide the collateral box statement that needs to go in there, right? You guys are going to learn about it in the course, but then when it comes to actually like printing it out for you to be able to copy and paste, then you'll just have that ability. Now, when it comes to the correction, I'm gonna bump it up a notch because now I need you to understand how to transfer or how to convert the Word document that I give you into plain text format. So instead of giving you the collateral the second time, I make you earn it. So you now know that every time you do a filing, you have to take this step first in order to get your documents onto a UCC3. Okay, so it kind of comes in stages so it doesn't overwhelm you. But you have to keep in mind as well that you have to pay attention to like where you're at. You can't take shortcuts in it. That just will mess you up in the system if you try to shortcut your way through and things like that. But we do our best to give you like every little step to focus on the content so you know what's in the documents. Because most people, like I said, they're going through, they're trying to do the template, blah, 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 and they're missing every other word on the page, right? So I do the automation on the documents, right? So you'll come across forms within the course that are asking you for different information. You know, do you have kids that you want to add to the filing, or what property do you want to add to the filing, or do you have an RV? Do you have a car? Do you have a concealed weapons permit? Do you have, you know, different licenses with the state, or different certifications you got from school, or whatever the case may be? There will be a list that you go through and you say, okay, yes, I have this one. You put your information and then you move down that list. Then when you start to get your documents, all of that information is already pre-populated for you. You just have to convert it into text format and put it into the filing. So we do show you how to get everything into the system properly, because in Texas, you cannot add attachments. They say you can. They say you can add attachments, but you cannot. Everything has to go in a plain text format in Texas. And then like we have to go back and make a correction because they don't let you do the UCC1 AD when you do your UCC1. So you have to go back and do a correction on that. But we take you through every step, you know, that you need to know to get your filing in and correct the first time. And then as you add your supplemental contracts, it's just going to build the strength of your filing. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah. He also spoke of the fee for trespassing on his property. Now, is that a fee that's specifically for the property, or is that just part of a larger fee schedule that includes the property?
Depends. It depends on the situation. Like me, myself, the lien that we do in secured party is a $2 billion lien. Okay, that's billion with a B. Okay, and so that means that every piece of collateral that you put on your UCC is going to be leaned up to that amount. But there's also been instances like where they were attempting to arrest me. And I'm one of those people where I'm not going to process, and I'm going to be so nice when I don't process that you're not going to know how to react, right? And you're going to end up kicking my butt out of that jail. But as I'm going through each stage of them trying to process me for jail, I'm adding on fees. I'm saying, oh, okay, well, we're going to, you know, I only contract by the contract that I have in the record. It's in the record. You guys can look it up. And if you need my photograph, it's going to be $10,000 a shot. I need that money up front. I'm going to stand here with my head down until you guys decide what you're going to do. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy, and they're looking at each other like, well, you're going to take a picture while her head's down. You're going to hold her head up. I'm not going to hold her head up. I don't have money to be paying her. And then I'm saying, okay, fellas, well, since you guys are not, you know, willing to take the contract, I'm going to go sit back down. Right. So, but what I'm doing is I'm contracting above and beyond what's already on my filing. So it's going to be the $2 million or $3 million per officer per instance, plus $10,000 a picture, plus $10,000 a fingerprint. Yeah, they take 28 prints when they print you here in Arizona. They take like 28 prints, the side of your hand, the back of your thumb. I mean, it's, and I'm like, cool, that's $10,000 every single print. I don't care. Right. And so I learned that as I go through, I can supplement the fees that I'm going to charge them for whatever they're putting me through, as long as I do my filing when I'm, you know, when I'm out or when I'm done with dealing with them. I put in my filing and I send them their claim. Right now, I have a very large amount of credit that's due to me from the damages that they put me through in this state. But then it becomes, you know, is it safe for me at this time to collect this money? In what way do I want to collect the money? You know, do I want to do an administrative process and then go through the court and get a default and then take it to risk management? That's an option. Do I want to go through the Treasury to claim the damages and have the Treasury send the IRS to go after them for the funds? I can do that. I can sell the debt to JG Wentworth. I can sell the debt to China. I can sell the debt to another debt buyer, and they'll give me a percentage, and then they'll go back and collect. So you always have to think about your safety as you're doing these things, because I've been in situations where they've literally tried to kill me and my children because they owe me that much money, right? And it's like, just the idea of me going to claim that $140 million has just set them off, and now they're freaked out. And well, if she gets this money, we're all losing our job, and all this nonsense. So you have to pay attention to what's going on around you. You have to always consider the safest avenue for you to accomplish your goals. And that's what we're here for, so we can steer you in a better direction, so you're not hitting that big old pothole and falling in there and having issues, but that it's there and you can go around it and have a smoother remedy. Okay.
Mhm. Okay, Dave also spoke about the mixing of public and private. Is he referring to commingling?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's actually a lot easier to commingle when you're new. I commingled, got my butt kicked. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to have an understanding about, if I do this, what will be the reaction, or what will be the outcome to my action, right? If I choose to, put in some affidavits of sovereignty and get myself free and clear and out of their system, and then I turn around and get a driver's license, I'm going to get my butt kicked.
Yeah, could you give
That from experience.
could you give some examples, some common examples of commingling?
Yes, commingling would be like, get an American national passport and then not remove your license out of the system. They're going to push them together and make them the same thing. So even though that you did the process properly to get an American national passport, if you're not acting as an American national, but you continue to act like a citizen, then they're just going to revert your passport right back to a citizen passport.
Right. So
that's a form of commingling. Or say, let me think of another one.
How about financial?
Financial, like commingling financially?
Financial commingling. What would be an example of that?
Okay, so financial commingling is like there's a lot of people that are doing that right now, as a matter of fact, when they're listening to this information, this guru on the internet, and they're saying, oh, all you need is a trust. And if you get a trust, and then you can do this and blah, 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 and all this with the trust, right? And then you go ahead and pay a couple grand for this trust. They didn't show you how to use it. They didn't show you how to set your minutes. They didn't show you how to set your meetings. They didn't show you how to do a bank account. So you just kind of throw some stuff together and say, okay, well, I'm going to go attempt to get this bank account. And you get to the bank and they're like, oh, what's your social? And you give them a social, you just commingle. Right? Because the trust needs to stay as a separate entity from your straw man. You can utilize your straw man to fund your trust, but you have to know how to do that in order to not commingle them. Like, you have to have a separate address for your trust and a separate address for your straw man. If at any time you use that straw man address on a trust action without it being put down as a care of address or whatever the case may be, you just commingle those two things and they become a citizen again. Right? So your work towards sovereignty is now moved backwards because you pushed two things together that were separate, And most times you did it by accident, right? So it's a delicate line, like another way to not commingle. If you're dealing with a court case, you make the judge a trustee, give them their Form 56 with the trustee appointment. You would bond your court case in the public in silver. That way you know that they can't really bother you about that. But then in the private, you might send the judge a probate bond with instructions saying, if you don't do your trust duties, I'm going to charge you this much. If you don't throw everybody else under the bus and get rid of this case, you're going to be the one to pay for it, right? Now, we have something going on in the private and we have stuff going on in the public. So those things are not going to commingle unless you make a mistake and you pull the two things together back into one, and then they're just going to hit you and throw the book at you, right? So you have to be careful to keep the separation. One more instance that would cover like financial and commingling is when people do this remittance process, right? And they, put their straw man information in the social and whatever they think they're supposed to put in there, and then they send it to the company. First off, the company is going to steal it because you're doing a private process in the public. So they're just going to steal your instrument and do the 1099s in the background and get everything because you don't know how to maneuver that side. Okay, so what you're essentially doing, if you don't do the instrument properly, if you're not sending a credit, if you're not sending that credit from your exemption account, then you've just commingled your public and private. And it makes you look incompetent. That's why they steal your instrument. Like, they don't know what they're doing. Why would they send me this? This doesn't come to me, right? They were supposed to send this somewhere else. They were just supposed to send me instructions, a copy, and some tax forms for me to get those credits. But instead, they sent me the original instrument, thus commingling the trust account and the straw man account together and making you look incompetent. So of course they're just gonna steal it. What you gonna do? Come get it back? Right?
Hey, Lady B, when it comes to what you just said, how much of that can be mitigated if you properly appoint the correct trustees and fiduciaries?
Every bit of it, if you have the right trustee in place. Because it's the trustee's job to make everything go through properly, and smoothly. So like for me, my fiduciaries are the commissioner of the IRS and both of the secretaries of Treasury.
So even if you mess up, then in that case, it's not a big issue because they should help you, right?
Yeah, and they do, because they understand the relationship that's been created from when I did my first A4V is when I appointed them as trustee. So basically that means the Secretary of Treasury of US and of Puerto Rico and the IRS commissioner, they're my tax agents. Right? So if I mess up, then they have the authority to go fix it on my behalf. And they do it.
Okay, so it's still imperative, of course, to know what you're doing, but I was just wondering, there's a few things you miss. It shouldn't be a big deal with what you just said with the proper appointments.
Right, exactly. And see, you always want to strive to gain the information that you're missing. So that, say you do an A4V 1 year, right? And you come back the next year and you've learned more things, right? You have a better understanding. If it's something that you need to add to your filing, or maybe even something that you need to take away because that wasn't exactly correct, and now you have the correct information, so you're going to remove parts of what you did before, that's going to show the IRS and Treasury that you are striving to make it to the public and that you're continually taking the time to educate yourself and better yourself, and they will respect you for that. They will respect you for that. As you do your small status changes, because I've changed my status 3 or 4 times since 2008, right? Because it was like, okay, I know enough for this status to cover me, but then when I outgrew that status, you know what I mean? I found the next level of status and maneuvered myself to that and updated the record so everybody now knows, oh, you know, she's got fee schedules now. She's got this going on now. And they do recognize it. They will recognize it. Now, I'm not going to say everything's going to be easy, right? Because there are bumps in the road that are just going to happen just because people are jerks. You know what I mean? But at least you'll have the knowledge to say, oh, well, they did this to me, and understand that you don't just have one remedy, but you probably got 20 remedies. You just have to think through each, you know, what you're going through and the steps that can help you get out of it.
Would you say that the IRS out of all these agencies is the most honorable one, based off what you're just saying? They seem to be the one to follow through.
I mean, they always follow through for me. They don't really bother me. They have corrected stuff that I've done wrong. They've paid my bills. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
a lot of people have a bitter taste in their mouth when it comes to IRS. And I'm looking at like, well, the IRS is like my friend. Why you don't like them? They pay your bills. And they're like, IRS don't pay it. Yeah, they pay mine. You know, like you must be missing something. But yeah, once you're in a relationship with these agencies, they'll do your bidding, because public servants' job is to follow instructions, right? But if you don't give them any instructions, then they're just going to do what they want to do.
Okay, so Stacy said in the chats, do you have any experience using bills of exchange for large purchases?
You cannot purchase with a bill of exchange. Bills of exchange are used to discharge debt. That's it. If you're going to do a purchase, it would have to be like a promissory note, a bond, a wire transfer out of your treasury account. It's going to have to be something else for a purchase. Bills, and that gets a lot of people in trouble too. So that was a really good question. Bills of exchange are for debt, existing debt only, right? Now, there are ways to say, oh, okay, instead of doing an A4V every month, there's ways that you could say, okay, send me my average annual bill and you discharge it annually, right? And then if you establish that instrument properly, you can make it a reoccurring debt. So then every year when that debt hits the books, the Treasury takes care of it.
Okay, and she also asked, she says, can you teach us how to claim interest on bonds and securities that were made on behalf of our all caps name?
That is the section for the banker, would be where you would start taking care of those things. Now, when it comes to working with the banker, he does bankers trusts and he does private banking. Those are two of his courses. Okay. But there are things that you have to have before you can even get into those level courses. Okay. So if you don't have certain things, then that's something that you can maneuver to in the future. But you have to have a strong foundation. You have to be a secure party up front. You have to have done some discharges. You have to have done some administrative processes and things of this nature before you will be allowed to take the higher trust courses. Okay, because the banking trust course is like 7 entities. So it's a bunch of numbers. You have to know which number goes with what. What did I name this number? This number, here's its documents, right? Next entity, what number does it need to be? Here's its documents. And you have to understand each one of those trusts. Now, when you put them together, what it creates is a straight path for you to pray and for God to hear you, right? So for you to request what you want and for the trust money to move on behalf of what you want, right? It's the epitome of praying to God. And if you get in that section with the banker, he'll explain it more, but literally each one of these entities stands for a portion of our world. Right? Like you have to have two trusts at the bottom. You have to have an estate, a foreign estate. Above the foreign estate, you have to have like a soul corp. Above the soul corp, you gotta get to Jesus, right? That's like the Jesus trust entity. The entity above that is God's trust entity. So there's a series to make that transmission between your treasury account and your trust accounts in the public go smoothly. But yes, that information is in here in the banker's area. By the way, the banker, I keep calling him the banker has been in his TDA for over 20 years. And he uses it however he wants to.
Okay, Mike asked, he says, are the courts actually monetizing off of our court cases by joining cases to securities? I have a QSIP report that's supposedly attached to my court case and a BNY Mellon fund. Okay, so that's what he asked.
Yes. It's a bid bond, performance bond, and acceptance bond that are drawn in the background, GSA bonds. And depending on how they're established, they could be anywhere from $2 to $4 million each, because our signature would be funding it for 2 million and our social will fund it for another 2 million. So it's between like $4 to $6 million per bond. And I don't care if it's just a seatbelt violation. The court is a bank. And if you're gonna leave your credits on the table, they're gonna take them.
May I chime in?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so this is Mike McGee. I asked a question about the QSIP. I received a QSIP report which has some limited information about this BNY Mellon fund, the municipal bond that's in this fund, and supposedly, yes, I gave a man my name and court case number, and he was able to generate this report that links, my name, the name, sorry, not my name, the name, to the court case that I was involved with, and then also, like I said, the security. But I'm trying to validate if my name is actually the name's actually attached to it. And if so, if I have any interest in this said security, rumor has it that the living men and women have access to 3 to 5% of the actual funds in the bond. And in this particular bond, or this fund, I'm sorry, it was at one point up to, 602 million. I've seen some QSIPs in the billions. A gentleman I know that won a counterclaim a few months
Especially
ago.
if you were in the military. If you were in the military, your securities will be in the billions.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but this is like specific to the court cases, supposedly. He received a QSIP from the same gentleman. I think it's someone who's got a stockbroker license. I hear Series 7, Series 11 licenses, the Bloomberg terminal. And somehow they can go in there and do their whatever they do and track down.
And we have the banker is Series 7 and Series 63.
Oh, wow. Okay, good to know.
But we also have another lady that we utilize for mortgage securities. And she has access to all of the terminals as well.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Yeah, because I'm trying to do a forensic audit on this to see if I can validate what this gentleman provided for me. Just, like cross-reference it, if you will, get a second opinion, if you will, to see
Well,
if my
if he pulled something up off of Bloomberg, then it's
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But the trick becomes,
Hmm.
how do you take use of that,
Right,
right?
right.
And that would be through becoming a secured party
Mm,
and then attaching that QSIP as real estate, because it's real estate,
mm.
right? The numbers on it are your real estate. And
Wow.
so as long as you are filing it on your UCC, what you're doing is you're registering that security.
Interesting.
And that gives you right as secured party to deal with it in the way that you see fit.
Interesting. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, because I've had people say, well, find a CPA that can do a forensic audit on it, and then you can take that and leverage that information with the fund issuer, which in this case is BNY Mellon, and kind of strong arm them into saying, cough up some funds. It sounds like blackmail. Cough up some funds, otherwise I want to take this to, to whoever cares, the SEC, the DOJ, or AGs, whoever may have an interest in
And
prosecuting.
honestly, the only place you would probably have to take it would be the IRS, because I'm telling you right
Yeah,
now,
they,
if
yeah,
they're making
yeah,
money off of your accounts and
true.
you don't have a treasury check or deposit into the treasury on your behalf, then the deal's not done. It's not done until you get paid,
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
that's
there is.
through a return, whether that's
Mhm.
through a series of 1099 forms, or
Right,
whether it's, deposited into the treasury and then pushed down into your trust accounts. It would
right,
really depend on the situation, but it is 100% maneuverable.
right.
Um, when you're doing secure party, the process, you're actually, your first deposit is your birth certificate.
Right, right.
Your authenticated birth certificate. And if you've ever received an authenticated birth certificate and actually read the first page, which most people don't, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you right there that you have
Corporation
unlimited
credit.
credit with the
Yeah,
United States. So
corporation credit.
what's 30% of unlimited?
Yeah, yeah, right. A
Right?
lot, a lot.
Unlimited. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard there's a process out there where you can file a 1099-B as in boy, and then
Mhm.
you basically
Oh
become a
my God.
whistleblower. You become a whistleblower under the court that your case
Or
is
you can use a
involved.
3949A,
Mm,
or you can use a 211 form. And
yep.
from my understanding, the 211 form, which is a tax form, it's a whistleblower form.
Mm-hmm.
Except when you blow the whistle, they're going to go to that corporation, they're going to grab 7 years of their books, and they're going to audit them 7 years. And any fraud that they find, you will receive 30% of
Oh, wow.
for turning them in.
Interesting.
Right? So, like I said, people look at the IRS like they're the enemy because they're so vicious. They're like, the pit bull is off the chain, right? But then he comes right up to you and licks your hands. He might tear the next person's butt off. But with you, he's gonna come up to you and say, and sit down beside you and want a head pat,
Hmm. Yeah,
right? Same thing
yeah,
goes for judges.
right.
You could put a judge in your pocket.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
judges in my pocket that's been in my pocket for years. And if something comes up with court, I go in there and they look at me, what are you doing back here? I told
Mhm,
them you're not in our jurisdiction. And he
mhm,
throws down.
interesting. Yeah, I think with the IRS, if we come correct as private, men and women, they reward us like, good for you. Like, kudos to you. You've reached the next level of whatever game they call this.
Exactly.
But if you act and remain as a, slave chattel, U.S. citizen, then they're going to treat you like one.
And
So,
they certainly do. There's been people
mhm,
that have come through the school and gotten their American national passport,
yeah,
and then just kept using their regular ID.
Right, right. Interesting.
Then they get stopped in a traffic stop and they go, oh, I gave them my American national passport and they just arrested me. Well, duh,
Mhm.
because you commingled, you mushed everything back together
All right.
by not acting like a secure party. One thing that always gets a eyebrow raised from a public official is when they look at me and they say, are you a US citizen? And I say, no, but I have one. And they're like, oh crap. Yeah, oh crap. I know what it is. Now you know I know what it is. So are we gonna, you know what I mean? Are we gonna continue this sham, or are you gonna just cower and run away like you know you need to?
That's funny. That's funny.
Right? So yeah, this is real life stuff.
Hey, Lady B, I went and grabbed my fully authenticated birth certificate to see what you were talking about. It says here that
Read it to them so they can hear what it says.
so I was born in Tennessee. So here, fully authenticated, it says on top, United States of America, Department of State, to all to whom these presents shall come greetings. I certify that the document hereunto annexed is under the seal of the state of Tennessee, and that such seal is entitled to full faith and credit.
Yep.
That's what it says at the top of the page, on the very first page. Is that what you were
Yep.
talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the asterisk is talking about all the US codes and statutes.
And
On the
then
bottom
usually down in the bottom left-hand corner, there's some laws down there as well that are definitely worth you going in and researching.
My understanding is all these statutes here on the bottom left make this document mine, and it's a completely
Yes.
authentic original document. Is that right?
Original document, correct. And that's why when you do your process, you don't want to ever send your original authenticated copy because you just gave them access to everything if you did that, right? But you can issue from your records once you have it and it's on your UCC, you can always go back as the executor or executrix and pull out a certified copy of that birth certificate and turn that in. You know, like when people surrender the defendant to the court, when they turn in their birth certificate to the court. Yeah, you don't have to give them original because there's only a certain amount of originals that you can get in a lifetime, right? But when you have an authenticated copy and you are in charge and the keeper of that record, you can always go back in there and just pull out a certified copy, certified out of your records, and send it where it needs to go.
So this piece of paper is worth a lot of money then.
Mm-hmm. Billions.
Yeah, I hear the number on the front too from the feds is a CUSIP number. That's like the master CUSIP number.
There's a number here on the top with a hyphen in it.
Yeah, that's supposedly Lady B can confirm or disagree. But yes, well, that's
I agree with that. I agree with that. And there's a lot of times where they do code information into these instruments. And if you're not savvy, you're going to miss what's actually going on. I'll give you a for instance. Has anybody ever looked at a treasury check?
Never got one.
Say again?
Oh, I've never received one, so no.
If you look at a treasury check, you would assume that that check is drawn out of the treasury and then directed to you. Correct?
Yeah.
It's not what it is. That check is drawn out of your trust. Treasury checks come from your trust.
Does it come from you issuing them permission, right, with your signature?
It's always, a treasury check is always coming out of your TDA. It's not just coming from the treasury, it's coming from your portion of the TDA.
Do they need your permission to do that?
To do what?
To pull
To
from
issue
your
a check?
trust. Yes.
Well, yeah, you have to request when they're not sending it right to you for whatever reason, and you know that you are supposed to get one back, then you have to do the refund. Right? Is that
Yeah.
how you get a return?
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to do
yeah.
refund. But if you're a citizen, you do a 10, they tell you, oh, do a 1040, your income tax, blah, 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 blah. Right? Then they don't tell you what income is. Go figure. They just make you say, oh, yeah, all the money I made is income. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's actually the opposite of true. Right? But back to the treasury check, if you ever get to see a treasury check, there's going to be a very long number across the center top of that check. That's the amount that's in your account. It's got like 4 or 5 commas. So if you ever, like if you're still doing your taxes and you get a tax return, have them issue you a treasury check. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't have a dollar sign in front of it or anything. It's just a long number with a whole bunch of commas. But that is the amount that's in that account. And they're never going to tell you that. But if you know how much is in the account, then you know how much you can spend without overdraft. So you would utilize that in your methodology.
I have a question, Lady B.
Mhm.
How on earth do they determine the amount that is in citizens' accounts? Now, I do remember listening to one of your videos where you were talking about when babies are born, depending on how much they weigh,
Mhm.
that's the worth of the baby.
Yes.
So is that right there equated to the amount that's in the TDA account?
Yes, because it's going to be every security that is attached to that record. So if you're say you're a mother and you're unmarried and you're not with the baby's father and you're getting benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that benefit, that food stamp application, that Medicaid application, as soon as you sign it and put your social, it's a security.
Mm-hmm.
You enroll your newborn, your little one into pre-K. That application has your social, the baby's social, the baby's strawman name, your strawman name, and your signature on behalf of that child. That's several $1 million. When they get older and you have to take them to the dentist and you open up an insurance account under benefit, you sign, you put your social, you put their social, you put both of the strawman names, you give them access to the trust.
So basically, the more a person engages in the world and in the government and all the little functions and things that they have for us to do to live everyday life, that will equate how much is in the account.
Yes.
The more you're engaging. Okay, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a statement by Stacy. She said, BNY Mellon is the indentured trustee for almost every bank in the country and every credit card except for Chase.
I would have to research that, but I mean that's believable because the way that they bury and like the mortgage game, we have a couple students that are like filing federal court claims against their so-called mortgage servicers, and they're doing research on these servicers, and they're finding out that BlackRock owns a lot of everything, you guys. Okay, Vanguard owns what BlackRock don't, and then the other one comes in and gets their scraps. Literally, the housing market, Vanguard, and BlackRock. The mortgage industry, Vanguard, and BlackRock. Okay. All of the new little stupid houses that they're building that they're never going to sell to people, but they'll rent them to them forever. Vanguard and BlackRock. BlackRock owns over 300 mortgage servicing companies.
Can I add to that?
Mm-hmm.
So BlackRock, yes, and Vanguard, they're the two publicly known entities, but BlackRock's main shareholder is Merrill Lynch, and Merrill Lynch's main shareholder is none other than Warren Buffett.
Right.
So Warren Buffett essentially owns whatever BlackRock owns. Yeah, it's crazy.
Excuse me. Yeah, so these are the things that people don't necessarily pay attention to, because they don't look that deep. They only really touch the surface and they never dig in. And it was one of our students that said, well, Lady B, my servicer is Shell Point Mortgage, and I love taking down Shell Point because they're really bad bookkeepers and they make so many mistakes that it's pretty easy for me to help somebody get their house free and clear if I know it's under Shell Point or one of their other servicing companies. So she's dealing with Shell Point and she does some research. She brings it back to me and she says, Lady B, all of these, she brings me this huge list of all these mortgage servicers. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she's like, all of these are connected to Shell Point and they're all under BlackRock. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we started going through the list, and there's so many people that have come to me over the years with a lot of those servicers that are on that list. And it's just like, what is really going on? This is their way of consuming our chattel in an attempt to never allow us to have it. They own 5% of everything, Tesla, and IBM, and everybody, right? They hold a certain percentage. And we have to be aware and vigilant on who is in charge of our stuff, who is holding on to this stuff, what trust is this stuff really in? Because 9 times out of 10, the servicer that's come after you is not the owner of the note. The note is with the trust somewhere. And the trust has no idea that Shell Point's even out there selling that debt. They don't even know until you notify them. Then, they're like, they're trying to steal my investment, right? So you got to be vigilant in this stuff, especially when it's with a house, because there's so many tricks there. They literally are robbing people of their homes right now. Right now, they're doing that, right? And unless you have the tools and the understanding to say to them, oh, well, the law says this, and you're outside of the law. You know what I mean? You got 21 days to contact me back and get this corrected, or we're going to have a problem, right? We're going to be contacting FTC. We're going to be on LexisNexis. We're going to be shutting down credit reports and everything till this is handled, right? And you'll begin to realize you are so much more powerful than you think. You just got to do the research. You just got to gain the understanding on your strength, all of the things that you have the ability to do. They're never going to tell you. That's like telling Superman, hey man, you know you can shoot laser beams out your eyes. Okay, well, if they're jealous of Superman, they are never going to tell him he can shoot laser beams out his eyes. Why would they tell him that? He's going to use it. He's going to use it against me, right?
Okay, well, we have, I have a statement from Stacy and then a question from her. But, guys, we usually do this for just 2 hours, so we're coming up on the end and we definitely do this every week. So that's why we put a cap on this. We used to just go until like people was on here falling asleep. We was just going all night. But, we do this every week, so we just do a 2 hour cap now. So, guys, in the chat, the open house event that we're doing on the 13th of August, that link is in there. That's a form for you guys to fill out. Once you fill out that form, we will send you the information for that. Jason also put a link in here. He says, here is a link of people who successfully obtained refunds from the IRS. Check out the number on the top of their treasury account. So that's a good link that Jason just put in there. So you guys want to snatch those links up. And the statement from Stacy is, BNY Mellon are trustees for almost all banking in the country. We are litigating multiple credit card companies as we speak, and all of them are ran through BNY Mellon. And then her question is, we have a bunch of different private bonds, promissory notes, registered offset, discharge bonds, bonded promissory notes, private registered indemnity bond, bonded bill of exchange, private registered bond for set it off, all made out to be sent to the Treasury. Can you teach us how to use these? So that's her question.
Okay, just on the list that you ran down, that sounds like pieces and parts of a secure party process. But what I would advise you to do is get all of those documents into a folder and send that folder to Miss Tracy so I can have Dave review it. Jason is one of our current students, and he recently had to do that, like get all his UCC stuff together, and we sent it into Dave to review, and then Dave met with him and explained to him, didn't he, Jason? Go ahead, unmute.
Oh, my bad. You sent me a video. I haven't gotten the chance to meet with Dave yet.
Oh yeah, he did do your video.
Yeah.
So
We still have to meet though, but yeah, I haven't met with him yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
did
was
put everything
great.
together and send it to him.
Yeah, that was
when
great.
you put everything together and send it in, we can have it reviewed. And like he said, Dave sent him a video back. So he went through his filing and explained to him the errors that he saw, what was correctable and what not. So when you send that into Miss Tracy, we can send that to Dave so he can explain. You said some of the pages are some of the documents are like 6 pages long. Our complete filing for secure party is between, I want to say like 50 and 70 pages of contract. Yeah, it's pretty thick when it comes time to like everything up and send it out to the 18 or 21 agencies that you need to notify. Is why we teach you guys taxpayer Q, because those those mailings can get expensive. They're very heavy. And then your original that goes to Treasury after you have everything recorded on the county level, the originals that go to Treasury, they're on bond paper, so they're even heavier. Right? Because you have to use a whole different type of paper. So best bet is to package your stuff up, get it to Miss Tracy, and she'll get it to Dave, and then he can do your review of it. And then at least you'll know where you're standing. But I think out of the past, at least since COVID, Dave and I would host a call a couple times a year, and the call is named, "Is my UCC filing correct?" And we'd have 150 people on the call, and we'd say, okay, the first 10 people to, send us a link to your filing. We'll go through these and show you the different mistakes that people are making on them. And out of the whole time that we've hosted this call, no joke, this has got to be out of like at least 1,000 people, right? We saw one person use the correct documents and they they filled them all out wrong. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What happened? Most people would get the review done, and it would be like 4 documents out of the 12 or 13 document set series that we use. They might have like 2 or 3 documents. The collateral statement on their filing has nothing to do with finances. They only have 1 debtor. They have no real estate and no property list and no hold harmless and no indemnity bonds. And it's like, how much did you pay to get this done? They're like, oh, $3,000. And I'm like, so you paid somebody $3,000 to put your information into these few little documents here. Did they give you any instruction? Oh no, that's why I'm here with you. I need to know what my next step is. And I'm like, corrections, additions, you know what I mean? And it's so sad sometimes because there's people that put out thousands of dollars and they're not getting anywhere close to the information that they should have. Right? And to me, that's like, that just works against the whole thing. You know what I mean? To have people just basically selling garbage to people. You know, so we're here to remedy that. At least there's one place where where you can trust you can get the real information, and then we're not going to limit you on that information. Dave and I used to work with I'm gonna leave him unnamed on this call, but we used to work with a so-called guru before we started the school. And one of the reasons I couldn't work with that particular guru anymore is because he would charge people $250 an hour, and he would get on the call and he would berate these people. He would break these people down. He would make these people feel like garbage. He would not give them remedy. He would not give them hope. He would not give them resources. He put their money in his pocket. And I got on the call with him, and somebody was giving us their story, and I said something about some available remedy that they would have, and he stopped me from giving it to them. And that's when I knew. I was like, I gotta part ways with this one. Because what is the reason for keeping information away from somebody who needs it? Why would you do that? Why would that be the first thing you do, is block me from assisting these people? I wasn't getting paid on that call. I was just trying to help. You know what I mean? And he basically condemned me, got up there, couldn't be doing that. You don't give these people remedy. Are you kidding me? Why are they on the call with you?
And then Lady B, I remember when Dave went ahead and part ways, Dave told me that the guy told him only give them 3 parts, never give them the 4th part, or they'll never come back to you. So never give them all of the remedy. So
Yeah.
that's what Dave said. He had to go ahead and part ways as well. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely. We had to, like, it was like poison. And it was like, this guy was pretty decent until he got in touch and interviewed another guru, right? I don't know if you guys know who Gene Keating is, right? But when this individual got with Gene Keating, he changed it. Like, it was a total U-turn. And it was Gene Keating's, oh yeah, oh, you know, they pay for seats every week for me. I have hundreds of people that show up on my call every week, and you know who gets the answer? And he said, who? And he said, the first person that asked the question, because that's what the whole call is going to be about. So people are coming and paying every week, and if they don't ask the first question, they don't get an answer. Well, it only takes like 2 questions a call. So who's getting remedy from that? Nobody. But who's paying him every doggone week? Everybody on that call. And I just shake my head. I'm saying, this is disgusting. You can get just as much valuable information on a Saturday on the school's teams when students say, hey, we're going to meet up on Friday, or we're going to meet up on Saturday, we're going to open call. And we create them a meeting and they go in there and they chat it up and they talk back and forth and they tell their stories to each other and their shortcomings and their successes, and they discuss these things, right? And that's part of the annual, you know what I mean? So you got to get under the right people if you want to succeed in this, right? You have to get under the right people because there's so many charlatans out there. There's so many snake oil salesmen. I mean, they charging $10,000 for a trust and they throw it together and it's not custom to you and your family's needs. You don't know how to use it. You don't know where to put it. You don't know how to get the bank account for it. You don't know how to finance it. Well, what did you just pay that $10,000 for? Some paper? And that's it. And you can't, it's not like you could go back to that person and say, oh, well, can you explain how to, no, they're not going to give you that part. They're not going, for what? They already got your money. They are not worried about you no more. They may never answer another email, right? In the school, you can communicate with faculty and other students in teams. You can record your recordings for school in there. You can meet with other students. You can meet with faculty. If you have any issues, Miss Tracy is my pass-through. So I'm not the type of person who's going to get your money and disappear. I'm always there. I just have Miss Tracy on as my filter, right? So she gets me and disseminates the information and gets me exactly what I need to get done what needs to be done while helping the students, you know what I mean, get through what they need. So she's like the bridge between the two right now because, like I said, I build every web page, every automation, every app, all of it from scratch. That's what I do in here. And then I teach A4V. I do consultations. So I'm super busy, but I'm never too busy to get you what you need. You know, it comes through Miss Tracy, but she's in directly with me, you know, to help me be able to keep my mind on the project that I'm working on. Like right now, we're building special needs trust. We're also building title tracks, investigation services, which is, excuse me, better than a, what do you call it? The mortgage audits, way better than that, much more information, digs you straight down into the trust that holds your notes. So we're constantly building different things in here for you guys to be able to consume this information easily, thoroughly, and to be able to have an understanding about, like, you can go back out into the internet and you know what you're talking about, right? There's not a guru out there that could put one over on you because you already read everything that you needed to know about it. And you'll start looking at these gurus like, oh, you a charlatan. It's like they got it's like they got the letter A. Got the letter A pasted on their chest now because you know what you've learned and you'll be able to see through their garbage. And that's very valuable because there's so much misinformation that's on the internet right now. I'm shaking my head. I'm like, you didn't do that, did you? Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, you want to see? Yeah, send it to me. Let me look at it. And it's like certified funds. And I'm like, you got a beneficiary signature. You got this really weird description at the bottom that's supposed to be instructions, but it says, this is not a check. Don't process it like a check, but it looks like a check. It's not a bill of exchange because it don't have 3 parties on it. It only has 2. I don't know where these account numbers are. And I'm like, you tried to buy a car with this? They didn't lock you up. Like, slow down. You have to have the full understanding before you move forward so you don't get yourself in trouble, right? And so that's what we're here for. We're here to fill in the gaps for you guys.
Okay, well, it's 9:05 here, so we're at our 2-hour mark. We're going to go ahead and shut this thing down. There are links in the chats that you guys can grab right quick. We will be on again next Tuesday, same time. Use the same link. I never changed that link. And that way you guys can just jump on again. You can share the link with anybody else that you think may benefit from this Q&A. And when we do the open house, Lady B will be taking you through all the courses, taking you through, you know, basically a virtual tour through the school, similar to what she was doing tonight, but it'll be, you know, her showing everything. And that way you guys can see all the courses and understand the school more in depth. And just make sure you have your questions ready. But yeah, we will be on again next Tuesday. Does anybody have any parting statements or anything they need to say right quick?
Thank you for your time and energy.
You are most welcome, Mike.
Very welcome. Yes. And I appreciate that because people really don't understand. Miss Tracy is probably the only person that actually understands how hard I go in on this. I literally go so hard on this. So I really appreciate when people you know, see you know, how hard we're working here to, it's so boring in the Republic. We don't even have enough people to have a cookout. This is an ongoing joke we have in the school. There's not even enough people in the Republic right now to have a cookout. And we are trying to change that. You know what I mean? So I can get some time off and we can, you know, we can give hugs out and go look at some land that we want to develop and do tiny houses and off the grid and like, you know, go to the National Archives in DC and start pulling our family's history and, you know, take a field trip to Slowjamistan and see what an actual nation looks like inside of the US, right? We want to do all of these types of things, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, to raise our vibration, raise our consciousness, and collective consciousness will take over. And there's your great reset.
There you go. There you go. He hit it right on the head. Absolutely. It's gonna take the village to raise this child. Like,
oh yes,
it's
indeed.
just such a mess.
Indeed. All right, many blessings to you all. Thank you.
Yes, you are very welcome. See you guys next week and have a very blessed, restful night.
Good night, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.